Hilda Solis of the Biden campaign spoke with To the Contrary executive producer, Carrie Stein. We also reached out to the Trump campaign for a spokesperson, but we were declined due to scheduling reasons.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what the final argument is, the closing argument is for Vice President Biden?
Well, it's pretty easy. I think women in particular have carried the burden during the past 4 years, but more importantly, during the COVID-19 pandemic. And we see it. We see it in essential workers, women as healthcare workers, women working in the grocery stores, women juggling their families and had to disrupt their whole lives because now they're forced to stay home to take care of their children or their spouses. And because of unemployment that has hit so hard, especially women, it has not been an easy choice for them. Many are still fending to feed their families. I just came from a food bank giveaway where we were feeding 2,000 families, and the majority of the people driving up in their car were women. At least 60% of them were women. So they're the caretakers. They're the ones that have been carrying the burden. They have not been able to get the relief and the leadership that's needed to make sure that their families are well protected during the pandemic. We need more testing. We need the federal government to weigh in. We need to make sure that they can have assurances if they do stay home that they're going to have medical coverage. So we need the Affordable Care Act, and pre-existing conditions is a big part of that. And now with this new Supreme Court placement, we really have to fight very hard to protect all those gains of 20 million people that had health insurance. We can't let that go. And women are the deciding votes. Suburban women, by golly, got it clear. They understand when someone is a bully, when someone is lying to them, and when someone is being a very sarcastic and misogynist. And I do think that that cuts across the board, not just Democratic women, but I think women, especially white women in other parts of the country, have really been fed up with the kind of behavior that they've seen demonstrated by the president as well as his minions.
What do you think is the impact of all the amazing numbers of early voting and mail-in balloting?
Right.
Why is that happening now? And what does it say about the women's vote, do you believe?
I think it's incredible. I just got off a phone call right now, and we're hearing that even in Los Angeles County, we already have over 1.8 million ballots that have come in through the mail, or I would say more importantly, being dropped off in our voting boxes and our centers right now. So we're anticipating to see more people come and vote before the actual deadline, which is November the 3rd. And I think a lot of it has to do with safety and protection because of COVID and because you can do it by mail. And even in California, where everyone here was mailed a ballot, and you could have a choice either to fill it out, mail it in, or drop it off, or go in ahead of time. So we're going to have our voting centers open early voting already this coming Friday. And it's around the clock. We even have mobile units going out to hard to get places so that people will have more accessibility. And I do think, at least what I've been seeing anecdotally, is that more women are really taking this very seriously and are actually helping to engage and kind of energize, I think, our families, our communities, and our neighborhoods. And part of it comes out of the whole Women's March movement that started, almost 3 years ago, as soon as this president took office. And more women got elected, more women started to take ownership, and they brought their children and their families and their spouses together on that one, playing field. And I see it playing out now across the country. And at least in circles that I'm familiar with, women are supporting other women also to run for office. And that to me is very exciting as well. And especially because Kamala Harris, she's from California. She's going to be the first woman of color whose parents came here as immigrants, worked hard, was raised by her mother, a single mother. And I really do believe that's energizing young people and women across the board.
Usually the vice presidential nominee is not a deciding factor. Do you believe this time it makes an impact? It's important.
It is, especially because we've seen so many demonstrations out in the streets where you see this racial divide unnecessarily being put before us, where communities are being divided because of what your belief, your religion, or how you look, and just the systemic racism that now everyone seems to say, you know what, we've got to change. And the way to change it is by getting new leadership and a vision and a plan to make those changes. And I think that's what's bringing people along. And I do believe that Kamala Harris did energize not just women of color, but I think women overall, because she is a professional. She was also a prosecutor here, you know that, the AG, our US Senator. She was very articulate and very, very, how could I say, just intelligent about how she's carrying herself. And you saw it on display when she was drilling Kavanaugh for the Supreme Court, and other individuals asking very poignant questions and being there, and just knowing that she also embodies some of the values that people like myself, maybe even yourself, really understand, that someone can relate to us and really look at, not that they have to be the first ones doing everything, but how do you get people together? That's what I think women do best. And I think she is going to have that ability, working alongside with Joe Biden, who I love and I trust and have worked with him as well for 4 years in the cabinet, and know that he was a big fighter for women's issue, the Violence Against Women Act, and especially for immigrant women that needed to get U visas because they were being assaulted and sexually assaulted here, and they needed protection. So I get it that this new leadership is going to really change the values of how women see their families and how we see our society moving. And I think women are just tired of the back and the forth that's so negative. That's what I think is also mobilizing people, that they're just tired of it. They want to go on to another page that's positive.
There's definitely a lot of fatigue, that's for sure. How will the Latinx vote go, especially the female vote? It hasn't always been strictly Democratic. There's been a lot of, Republican voters, but it appears that in Texas especially, it may flip because of that.
I am seeing some trends right now that are really captivating, not only in Texas, but wow, wouldn't that be something? Maybe we pick up a few congressional seats there. But I think there was so many horrific things that happened there, with the fact that whatever the president says, his words mean something, and they galvanize people on one side or the other. And what happened in El Paso at the Walmart, remember, people were killed, children and family members, innocent people were killed. That really caught a lot of attention, I think, on the part of our Latino, our Latinx community, and especially women. And I see more women always leading the way in terms of voter participation. And that's pretty much true, I think, generally speaking, along the lines in every state. And I'll say that because I think Latino men, we were a little worried that perhaps they weren't listening to the message, but the wives and the spouses and the partners are. And they're the ones that are also having to impact their family members and their siblings. And I do see that there's going to be a turnaround. And whether we'll see on election day, but my sense is, yes, we're galvanized. Latina women are galvanizing.
On election day, do you think that we will know something the night of election day?
I keep hearing things about changes in how some states are going to count the ballots, for example, in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. I mean, some Republicans are really trying to screw it up so that they make it harder, to suppress our vote, to intimidate our vote, and especially women and people of color. And I think that is really creating this sense that, you know what, I'm not just going to sit by and let this happen. I am going to stand in line, whether it takes 8 hours or 4 hours or whatever it's going to take. I'm going to come out. I'm going to be ready to vote. Just like President Obama said, make a plan. And his wife said it, Michelle Obama, make a plan and be there, and don't be intimidated. If you see something, report it, because this isn't the time for us to go backwards. We have to go forwards. And the example is already being set just by the numbers, the sheer numbers of people, the millions of people that have already voted today, and we're 6 days out.
Will Democrats fight if they and go to the courts if indeed there are a lot of ballots that end up, not getting counted because they come in late and the courts have already said they shouldn't be counted if they come in after election day?
Well, I would think we're gonna fight very hard. In fact, there's a whole plan in place right now where there are polling, how could I say, individuals that are on call, lawyers and people that are donating their time to help individuals process this if they are being told that they can't vote, or if they were in line and they're told, well, no, the polls closed, so you can't vote. We've got to have people there to help provide protection to the voting system and to give credibility to this process. So we are seeing that ramped up. I know that's happening in other states, and California is sending people in other places to help out with voter protection and to make sure that people are not intimidated. And I think that's a big turnoff for so many of us. We're not a banana republic. Hello, we are not.
Thank you so much. I'm conscious of the time and all. Thank you so much for your time. And we want to come back to you, Secretary Solis, as things happen.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And we got a few days to vote, so let's go make it happen. And I know women, we can do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.